Michelle King once again, give it up. So May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which celebrates the rich history and cultural heritage for tens of millions of Americans. A group of authors are working to get more children's books with AAPI stories and characters into school libraries, because that's important. And here to talk about it, please welcome authors Yobi Q and Serena Lee. Everybody give it up. So meet Elle. Everybody meet everybody. So Yobi, this idea came from a very unexpected place. Tell everybody when y'all thought of it.
I was watching Oscars that one night, like all of America was, and I was completely overjoyed by the win of Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the light bulb went off for me when Michelle Yeoh said, I want all the little girls that look like me to know what's possible and dream big.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I have to do something to extend that representation. I called up my friend Serena and two other author friends, and I was like, do you want to join me on this campaign where we fundraise to get hundreds of books and send them to school districts, 5 different states in America? And we hopped on a Zoom call, and the rest was history. But we got so excited that we named, thank you. But we got so excited, we actually named the campaign Asian American Books Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
And because that's where the idea sprang. Right. That's
right.
Amazing. So to both of you, you say no matter where you're from, no one has the same story. So explain what that means to you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even though Yobi and I both identify as Asian Americans, but our story couldn't be any more different. I myself, I was born in China and moved to the States at age of 14 without speaking a lick of English, right? And
that's hard.
It was
14
really
as
hard.
well. 14 is already a hard age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I learned English through songs, and Kelly, your song, Miss Independent, held a whole other level of meaning. So yeah, as a first-generation immigrant living in a place without much diversity, I actually have neighbors and classmates that would ask, hey, do Asians actually speak Asian? Right? So,
Okay.
So now that I have a daughter of my own, and I always long to pass on my heritage and language to her, and that's how I started my publishing business called Duck Duck Books.
Yeah.
And I make multilingual kids books with my mother tongue, like Cantonese and Mandarin.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, we have very similar experiences, but also very different experiences. I was so lucky. I grew up in New York City in the middle of
very diverse
Lower East Side and Chinatown, and where diversity was absolutely embraced and celebrated.
Yeah.
And then I went to become a teacher, and I was trying to get books that featured Asian children and families and cultures, but there just weren't many. And I decided the best time to write a book was to write something for Lunar New Year time, because I was teaching a lesson at that time. I was creating my own material like all teachers do. Yeah. And then I went on to research a ton of how different Asian communities celebrate our Lunar New Year, and I learned so much, Kelly. I've learned about how the Thai community, how the Vietnamese community, how the Indian community, Chinese, and Korean community celebrate this holiday.
Yeah.
And throughout this whole process, what I was most proud of is we are living in a great time where representation is really exciting for us now, but I just feel like there just isn't that enough books for children.
Absolutely. My kids are fortunate because I didn't grow up, and I don't know how you grew up, Elle, but I didn't grow up around a lot of diversity in half of my childhood. And it was one of those things that I look at my kids and they celebrate all these different holidays that I'm learning about as an adult. Right. Like, you know, because I never was taught when I was a kid, but they're so exposed because they live in a city that kind of is like how you grew up. It's so diverse, but like I didn't grow up with that. Like knowing a lot about different cultures and their holidays or anything like that. Did you grow up like that?
Halfway. Ohio, not so much. My grandmother's from Manila, and when she moved to America, she became a teacher. And so I had a really big extended Filipino family in San Francisco. That was a really massive part of my upbringing. So this is really beautiful because since my grandmother's passed on, I don't know what ways to show my son part of his culture and heritage, and so this is really beautiful that you guys are making these. It's really important. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's super important. Well, Serena and Yobi, since it's AAPI month, what are some great books that you recommend for parents?
Yes. So I absolutely adore one of the authors called Tracy Guan. She's actually right here in the audience. Hi, Tracy.
Oh, what's up?
Yes. So Tracy is actually one of us 4 that are doing this campaign together, and she has a book called Lunchtime with Sam Nang, which talks about this Cambodian boy, and his adventure during lunchtime, where he learns more about his heritage as he was tasting these yummy, Cambodian dishes.
Yeah.
And if you have older children, middle school or high school, I recommend a book by Vincent Yi. That's another one of our authors. Say hi, Vincent.
What's up, Vincent?
What's up, Vincent? I really like that series because it shows Asian Americans that they can be superheroes. And I think everyone should have the opportunity to see themselves as superheroes in stories that they read and TVs that they watch.
Yeah, especially kids growing up. That's like so important. Well, Scholastic shares your mission of making sure that all children are being able to see themselves and their stories reflected in the books that they're reading, which is why they are excited to donate 1,000 books written by AAPI authors and featuring AAPI characters. Because it's, like I said, it's important for everyone to see themselves, but it's also important for every kid to see other kids that aren't like them, So that's just as important, I think.